Welcome back to part 2 of our conversation with Lee Caraher, where she tells us about the Boomerang Principle and how to retain your millennial employees. Don't go anywhere. Part 2 is coming up next.
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Thor Conklin here. We give you the tricks, the tips, the tools, the strategy, the technology, and the psychology peak performers use in order to get more done and execute at the highest level. If you know what to do but struggle with getting it all done, or simply want to raise your game to the next level, this podcast is for you. Sit back and enjoy. Talk a little bit about the Boomerang Principle.
Sure. So the Boomerang Principle is the idea that those companies that allow and encourage former employees to return to you have an advantage over those that don't. And it came out of my own work, actually more than 20 years ago, when it was a very hot job market and people getting counter-offered all the time. And I started not counter-offering because it was exhausting. But everyone was leaving the office. I was like, you know what? Good luck to you. And I hope next time when you're going to leave that company you're going to, which I know was going to be in 3 or 4 months, call me. And I hope that there's a space for you here. And when I started doing that, I stopped losing people, number one, because we were focusing on the culture in the office and not on trying to keep people in the office who were getting money from other places. And my point of view is that in today's world, people are graduating from college today thinking they're going to have 6 or 7 careers, not jobs, actual different functions, careers in the world. And it is sort of hubris of us all, no matter how small or big our company is, to imagine that we could keep great people in our company for their whole lives when they might be interested in doing something totally different from us outside of the context of our business. But it's not hubris to imagine that they would be valuable to us after they left us, if they're good people and we've done well by them and they've done well by us. So those people who really feel strong, if they leave the company, they're dead to me, they're not loyal, I think is really short-sighted and just profit killing, because nothing's more expensive than replacing great people. And if you can have your former people doing that work for you because they're out there in the world and they're finding people, colleagues or other friends are like, you know what, Thor, I just met Lee. Man, she would be great for you. You should hire her. I have just, driven out $100,000 of waste out of your business, purely out of my, out of my loyalty to you, which is not being paid for because I'm not on the payroll anymore. So my book is all about that concept, and then showing people, it's very pragmatic. This is why you want to do it. This is how you do it. And then how do you help people be boomerang eligible so they leave you so that you want them back, right? And then how do you fix, maybe broken relationships that you've had in your past so that you can have a much stronger network for the future, because that's where sustainability is going to come. My belief is that positive businesses are profitable businesses, or at least more profitable, because conflict is waste, and waste doesn't help anything in a business.
No. A lot of the work that we do, people bring us in and they're looking for the thing that they're missing. Mm-hmm. 9 times out of 10, they're not missing anything. They've got too much junk around. Yeah. And it's about eliminating things. And one of the things is if there's any tension or if the culture isn't right, or you have people that you're just spending time trying to hold on to.
No, goodbye.
Yeah, not good for business. I love that principle. I'd never really considered that. Never even heard anyone speak on it. That's brilliant.
Well, I was talking about, so my first book is called Millennials and Management: The Essential Guide to Making It Work at Work, which is really I wrote it out of my abject failure at retaining millennials in my business and then figuing it out.
Yeah, I love that. You actually said miserable at retaining.
I was miserable. Abject failure. We're a small company, 35 people. We hired 6 millennials within 3 months of each other. Within 8 weeks of each other, they were all gone. And I never in my career had 100% failure. So it was a body blow. So I went to figure it out.
You're at 100%.
Out of that came my first book. Yeah, exactly. Out of came my first book. And then I was giving all these speeches and keynotes and workshops on this topic. And every single time I would come up against one or two or three senior people who would say to me, these millennials, I'm not going to put any time into them, Lee. Why should I train them? They're going to leave anyway. They're dead to me if they leave me. No one's loyal anymore. And the first time I was sort of like, wow, no one read anything I sent them beforehand. And then I realized no one reads anything until after you hit them over the head, right? But here's the gig. First of all, why should millennials have the old loyalty equation when we've proven our economy has proven that it doesn't exist anymore? There is no gold watch. And we're not going to take, the business comes first because it has to, right? And if you're publicly traded in particular and you're delivering shareholder value over employee value, which you have to now if you're publicly traded, well, yeah, you're going to make cuts all the time, not because you have to, but for profit and for return to the shareholder. So we've proven that we don't have the long view for our employees. So of course they wouldn't think that. Also, we have boomer parents who 8 million of them lost their jobs in 2008, 2009, 2010. And they're telling their millennial children, don't stay anywhere too long. Don't get stuck. Don't get stale, because so many of those million of people are still waiting to have the jobs back that they had left, right, or had to leave. And if you don't train them, this generation who has gotten stars and great inflation for the last 15 years, that makes them think that they are really awesome people because they get 4.5 grade point averages, and they get into the real world and it's like that effort doesn't matter. You need to do it again. If you don't train them, then they're walking out the door. Because 39% of working millennials live at home. So you just have to adjust, right? Yeah. I'm sorry that the old loyalty doesn't exist anymore. It's actually your own damn fault. Excuse my language.
Yeah. No, you can use any language that you want on this show.
And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Yeah. But if you can create someone who's loyal to you for their entire life, you have created sustainability that you can't pay for. When you hire someone, they're going to leave you. It is not rocket science to figure out that 90% of the people you hire will leave you before you do, right? Yeah. And because that's how it works. We just get disappointed when they leave us before we want them to. But if we help people achieve their goals in their own lives through our businesses, one, we keep people in our companies longer. And if we can just keep someone 1 year longer than they think they're going to stay, we've saved $100,000, number one. And then two, created a relationship between a person and an entity that is fruitful for the foreseeable future. So someone's out, I want to do this now. I'm not going to be able to advance my career the way I want in this company, Lee. I think I would this is where I want to go. So I'm going to do this instead. But I'm very thankful for the work that I did here. I'm very thankful for Double Forte and all the training it gave me. They go out into the world. They see people that we should hire. They let me know. They see a client we should work for. They call me. They become a client or they become a partner. And I have just slashed my recruiting costs and my prospecting costs in more than half. And so it is a profitable thing to have a positive business.
And then on the flip side, so often business owners will hang on to people that just aren't a good fit. Yeah. They've put in the training and they just hang on to them like, I don't want to lose them, Why?
Big mistake.
What do you think?
I think one, people want to think that they can help. They've put all this work in and it's going to pay off because we're all human in the end, right? And it's hard.
That's right.
We don't want to be the people who
are the best person to work for.
Exactly. But not everybody deserves to work for you.
Yeah.
And if people aren't going to stay relevant in my business, we talked earlier, it's, nothing's changed more than communication. If people don't want to stay current with what is communication today, they can't stay here. And it has been hard for me to cut people soon enough. I've definitely held on to people longer than I should have because I want them to grasp the training and embrace it and become current, get current with the situation. And I'm always disappointed when they don't. And I think that's why we do it, because it's, man, I like that person. I've put all this investment in. If they just cross that one line, man. I'll just cross that one line. But, I think what I have learned the hard way is that when you are working with people, if they're not going through a major issue. So we've had 6 people at a time. 2 years ago, we had 6 people in our company whose parents were dying. And we're a small company. It impacted every single team. But all those people were very different. I mean, different dynamics, different families, oh my gosh, they all handled it very differently. And in the end, 2 people left, 2 people came back at halftime, 2 people came at full time, all that kind of stuff, right? But if you're not going through a crisis and your work dives, right, you got to go. If you're going through a crisis, can the company accommodate the crisis in some way so that you can still perform and do your job or do a job that the company finds valuable while you work through it? Yes. I think that is going to increasingly be the need as we take care of more and more of our aging parents. But the third thing is sometimes it doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
And my point of view on loyalty is the most loyal thing an employee can do is leave when they're no longer excited about the opportunity that they have at the company.
Yeah.
That's the most loyal thing an employee can do. Yeah. And when you have that mindset as a leader in your company, and you share that mindset with your people, right? Then you can have a much more dynamic and productive relationship with those people. Like, what do you want to accomplish in your life? How is being at my company going to help you do that?
Yeah.
How can we help you be the best you possibly can be? Because, I know you want to be a nurse. Well, I'm not a hospital, but you need to learn to do these things and you need to go to school at night. Sure. As long as you're doing your work. Awesome. How can I accommodate that?
I think even if you're an owner, to step aside, I started a company about, 11, 12 years ago. And I said to my partner, I said, look, I'll come in, I'll get it running. But once it's up and running, I'm not going to stay. This is not my passion, but I'll help you. You need my help in order to get it off the ground. And that's what I did. I was chief operating officer of that company. Got it to the point we were 2 years out, raised all the money. We were profitable. And I just said, there's no reason to pay me a couple $100,000 a year just to kind of hang out. This is not where I want to be. So you guys continue. I'll keep my stock and keep going. And It was a great exit,
Yeah.
And it's something that I built, but I just wasn't the right person to be in that position. I did what I was meant to do, and that was to get it birthed.
Right. I think, so many people wouldn't have done that. So many people wouldn't have left, like, well, I did it, and I'm going to keep taking that, taking my 200K, 300K, whatever it is. It's the wrong thing to do, right?
Especially for my role as a COO. If there's one job you do not want to hire me as, is the COO. You want me to be the chairman, the CEO. I'll clean the bathrooms.
You're probably not an integrator guy. I'm just saying.
Yeah, sometimes I tend to, I'll run, and then all of a sudden it's like, I think I just stepped on something. I turn around and there's like, there's a bloody body back there. Yeah. Who was that? And HR goes into that same category too. Yeah.
Right. Well, right.
Yes.
I do think that the most important thing for, sort of new topic, but the most important thing for leadership is to really understand yourself, know yourself, understand your imperfections, understand your blind spots, understand your strengths, and accommodate them in how you work. So it sounds like you do that, right? You knew you went in, you get that thing done, and then you're like, I got to get out before I hurt somebody.
Yeah, and I learned it after I screwed it up.
Yeah. Well, that's good. You are an example for us all.
But that's when normally we learn most things, right? Was I able to do the job? Yes. But it just wasn't in my, every day it was like, it's like, can I just go talk to somebody and sell something? Can I go to,
Right.
Everybody's interested in success. However, only a few are really committed to it. What's the difference? Those that are committed are willing to do whatever it takes in order to get their outcome, in order to get their goals. If you're not getting the results you need and want, chances are it's accountability. Who's holding you accountable? I've got a challenge for you. For 1 month, 30 days, and $95, our team will hold you accountable for what you said you were going to get done in that month to get your goals, get your outcomes done. If at the end of 30 days you don't like the results or you just didn't like the system, we'll give you your money back. The question is, are you interested or are you committed?
Keep an eye out for part 3 of our interview with Lee, where she tells us how to speak your employees' language, as well as how and why you should measure your company's values. See you next time on Peak Performers Podcast.